we're gonna do great. I don't know. I feel like I come across as peppy, but it's just nervous. Hi, I'm Jay. Welcome to another day, another dollar in my quarter life crisis. The reason why we're here today is my friend Chelsea and I are embarking on quite an adventure together. We are rereading my favorite book series from my teenage years, Gone by Michael Grant. So when I was 15 years old, I'm 25 now, Gone by Michael Grant was one of my favorite books. Chelsea did not have that same experience, to say the least. And you know, like, I can't blame her because the Gone series is a lot and she kind of knows that about herself. You think that you're getting into a modern day Lord of the Flies type story where a bunch of teenagers have to rebuild the society together, adults disappear under mysterious circumstances, etc., etc. But then, to use Chelsea's words, it just keeps getting a little weird. And you'll see what I mean in a hot second. But listen, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're joining me on this journey. And I'm really excited for you to meet past Jay and past Chelsea.
Hello.
Hi! It's been a whole day since I've last seen you.
Yes. Oh, you have such a nice setup in your room.
Thank you.
Welcome to, is that supposed to be quarter life crisis?
Yes. So we have a lot to talk about. I am very
Yes.
excited. Okay, how do you feel about the book so far?
I think I'm liking it the further I get into it.
Okay.
Because the beginning part was pretty much how I remembered.
We learn all of the adults disappear. It's only children. And then we learn superpowers. This is where you noped out.
Yeah, I noped myself out of that situation.
I guess first, like, how do you feel about like the progression of weirdness? Like, does it feel better executed in retrospect? Or are you still just like, no?
Yes, because like I really am so curious how my brain worked at that time because I like really did just like blank out and just delete all aspects of superpowers.
You hated it so much, you refused to let it stick in your memory.
I guess so. It's so interesting because yeah, upon reading it again, it's very early on that they're like insinuating that there's something else happening, that these kids have uh, powers. And I guess it does make more sense because I think I was really in the mindset of, this is one of those like Lord of the Flies situations where like the reason why the parents disappeared and the reason why the adults aren't there, it's a semi-logical reason. And so the idea that superpowers were behind it or part of it, like just made me go like, there's too much happening. The progression of weirdness makes sense now because the answer to everything is superpowers.
I guess, like, what are the things that you're currently liking about it? And then we
So,
can get into what you don't like, which I'm sure is a lot.
um, honestly, I think it's pretty balanced right now. The things that I like that there's different views, which is funny because it perfectly like conflicts with my what I dislike about it, that there's too many views. Like you have Sam, who's just like kind of forced into this hero role, which I feel like is typical of most YA world building kind of novels, where it's always like, I'm a hero, but I don't want to be. Kane comes in and he sees what Kane is doing, but he doesn't care enough to like step up and like because he knows if he does step up he'll have to take his place. Then you also have Astrid, which I honestly feel like she's kind of more in the background right now, which if we're like considered the smartest person, I feel like she would want to take more of a position within this world building, but she's really taking a back seat. But I have a theory about that, of why that may be. We'll talk about that later. Quinn is losing his mind. He's just getting angry, and he's kind of like angry but also avoidant. He's going through a lot, and he's not handling his emotions the right way. Well, I won't say the right way, but he's not handling it the best way. And he's creating conflict in all of his relationships. Then you have like the Coates kids and Kane, and I like that they all have kind of slightly different positions of how they're dealing with the situation. It was how I remembered, but almost worse than I remember. In my mind, I guess because I was that age, I thought they were like 17. But now that they're 14, it's so vastly different from like where I am now that I'm like just really critiquing it. Sometimes they act older than they are, but they're so much younger than I remember them being. So it's just like really off in my head. But then as we're kind of getting into like the intricacies of actually building up society, because I think I just was reading the part where it's just like the hysteria of the disappearance, the pooping happening, and now we're getting into like how they're actually putting things together, and that's really interesting. Kane, I really he's been doing a lot in the background of the story, and I'm liking all of his decisions. Evil, but he's smart, and I don't know why I'm really liking his character.
Like he definitely scratches your society building itch.
Yes.
And I like how like when he's introduced, you know, the kids like definitely welcome him stepping up to this plate of authority, and his ideas for keeping the peace are actually pretty good, but it's also a little ruthless, especially when we learn more about Drake, like his number two.
I like everything that Kane is doing. It just feels very Caesar, very dictatorship, where it's like, I'm here to help the people, but I'm going to give myself absolute power, but it's to help you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And the fact that Quinn and, half of the population of those kids are going to justify those rules and ignore any shadiness or uncertainty within those rules. They're going to just ignore it because they're scared. And someone's willing to make rules, so they're going to let him make rules. And I was like,
Quinn's not a leader, and he seems to know that about himself.
honestly, I think that's part of the reason that he has issues with Sam. I think the relationship is breaking down because yeah, Quinn knows he's not a leader. He knows he's not a hero like Sam. He and then now that he knows he's not a superhero like Sam, I think it's just breaking down everything. I have a problem with Quinn,
Hmm.
and this is one of my problems with the book, and it's not just with Quinn, it's with the author, and it's all about poor Delio. Like the comments that Quinn makes about Adelio, I'm like, what? And then his mom, like Adelia's mom, like I was like, it's one thing to just have like a racist character, which like Quinn is just like stupid and ignorant.
Yeah.
But he's not stupid. He's ignorant and he's angry. On top of all that, they did make Adelia's mom like the cleaning lady at a hotel. Come on.
You don't need to do that. It's like hard too, because I think Adio becomes like one of the most valuable characters in the phase. So I think that like in my head, like knowing that made it kind of easier to dismiss like when characters are being like racist towards him. So I think that's what was happening with my younger self, and that's why I didn't remember it being this bad. But it is really like hard to read those things. And also like I feel like Michael Grant could have made this more like tolerable if um his mom wasn't the cleaning lady. Like it's either like take out the racist comments from these kids, or like make it seem that he is like kind of like on the same footing as them, to make
Yeah.
it like to balance it out.
Oh, I do like that other character that's kind of been talking with Astrid, who's really smart. He's kind of like the Coates version of Astrid and Adelia.
Yes, Computer Jack.
Yeah, yeah, the nicknames are fun. Yeah, he seems fun and interesting. I
Yeah,
liked his chapter.
yeah. Computer Jack is again has another like fun arc.
Who's the girl who's with Kane? Diana. I just remember when I first read it, like I really loved Kane and Diana because I feel like they were just like beautiful and like slightly evil and wearing cute like gossip girl uniforms. Now I'm like, Diana who? She's not a massive character, and I don't think that her and Kane are together or anything. I don't know.
Like Kate is clearly in love with her, and she kind of like is kind of like tugging the string. I've been more into like the characters that are like a woman who like is just doing what she can to like gain power and gain like kind of like safety, even if that means like having to attach yourself to a toxic boy, you know.
Yeah. I do love just a woman who manipulates men.
Yeah.
Very into it. So yeah, now that you told me that, I'm actually very interested in seeing where things go with Diana.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm back on Team Diana. I mean, this is just for this whole genre. I never understand how it works with animals. So does everyone still have their pets? Everyone still has their cats and their dogs?
Ooh. They don't get into it. At this point, I'm going to assume that a combination of like yes and like some of the dogs are wild. I'm assuming if like you're a kid and you already like and you had a pet, like you're keeping that pet. But if it was just like a dog that was owned by an adult or just like any like adult at all, I think those dogs are wild. The thing is, they do say that like they started eating pets.
Wait, they started what?
They started eating pets.
No.
It's really sad.
Oh, okay.
They don't like describe it, but they do like they like will say like one-off lines about like yeah, they've eaten.
They're fucking up then. What? I'm guessing Kane is really messing up if they ran out of food that quickly.
Yeah, they ran out of food real quick.
Man, you guys gotta learn how to farm. Wow. And they didn't conserve any of the food like Kane said he would. I don't know why I do quotes backwards.
Yeah. You know, they tried their darndest, but they had really like set themselves up for failure. I feel like in these next like couple hundred pages, I don't think Kane is doing much about keeping the peace because I think he starts getting concerned with other things like taking care of Sam.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have some theories because,
Okay.
yeah, Sam went to his house and his mother's laptop was gone and his house had been, someone went through his house.
Yeah.
Sam's mom, she's got secrets.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Did you get to the reveal with the birth certificate?
So he revealed that he has the or he doesn't have it. He knows the birth certificate's in the locked box.
Yeah.
And the box is gone. So he can't look at it right now. So I don't know what's on the birth certificate, but I have thoughts.
What are your thoughts?
So I guess he's interested, or he hasn't looked at his birth certificate because he's not sure if he wants to know who his father is. But sneaking suspicion, it will maybe be revealed that he has like a twin or a brother, and I think that brother is Cain. And I think that's why Cain has some weird relationship issues with Sam's mom. I think that's also why I think it was maybe Sam's chapter, somebody's chapter that made a comment about Sam and Cain looking similar. I mean, the way that it was done, it was like he had brown hair and brown eyes, like Sam, or something like that. Or I don't remember what it was. It was something where it's like blonde hair, blue eyes. I'm like, or for the brown hair, brown eyes. I'm like, I also have brown hair, brown eyes. Are we related? Yeah, but it was something where I was like, okay, it's a stupid thing to call out because I feel like everybody has that, but the fact that you're calling it out means it's going to come back later. And because Cain seems to be just way too aware of Sam and Sam's mom, so I feel like they are connected at some point.
We haven't talked about this at all, but he's such an important part. We haven't talked about little Pete, who is Astrid's brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little Pete. Now, it's hard because I feel like you told me that it's somebody's little brother that caused all of this. And I can't remember who, but I'm assuming it's little Pete. Yeah, I'm like, okay, little Pete has power and he can't necessarily control it. I'm assuming he's the one who caused all of this.
Yes.
It's hard because we don't really get anything from his perspective. It's all going to go through Astrid. But at this point, I'm like, how much does Astrid know? It doesn't make sense that she's being so quiet and in the background unless she knows something and doesn't want it to be revealed. I feel like Sam is almost a little blinded by like his feelings for her. But if I were anybody else, I'd be like, obviously, like Sam should be in charge because he's the hero of the group. But then Astrid's super smart, like Adelio, but they don't respect Adelio like they respect Astrid. Oh, especially like when Cain first came and was like, who are your leaders? And everyone's like, Sam. And nobody said Astrid. And I was like, I mean, what is this, like 2016 America? Come on, women can be leaders. Yeah, I was surprised that nobody threw her name into the mix because everyone's like, genius Astrid, she's the genius kid. I think the reason why Astrid is okay with being in the background is because she knows what's going on and she doesn't want people to know that it's little. But it's still enjoyable. I think it is still a really solid idea, as I did at the time. And, totally at my alley. How well was it executed? Not 100% sure, but we will see. It's better executed than I remember it being. If I were in charge, if I were the editor, I just would have and then pasted it back together and had a really solid 300 to 400 page book.
Yeah. I do think that you're going to see more society building elements especially as the series goes on. I think like there's just a lot of like stuff he like wants you to know up front. You're almost getting like the appendix before you start the book. What are you hoping to see in like this next part of the book that you hope the book will answer?
I am very intrigued by Sam's mother. Okay. And I know she's only the school nurse, but I'm like, it seems like they're putting a lot on this school nurse.
Yeah.
Something happened at Coates Academy. Yeah, I'm just really curious what happened at Coates before and after the phase. What happened between Kane and Sam's mom, and who's Sam's father. And I know that there's some kind of connection with Kane and Sam, and I'm very curious about that.
I'm so excited. I've never gotten to read this book with another person before. I know I tell you this all the time, but I cannot stress enough like how exciting it is to have someone understand what I'm talking about when I talk about Gone, because this whole time it's just me like telling my friends the entire plot of the book just so I can tell them this one minor detail in it.
No, it's fun. I like it. But see, I did the same thing where I have to explain the entire premise of the book so I can say what I don't like about it and how I was disappointed about the execution. But now I literally have to work through all of this past trauma to come to the realization that it's maybe not that bad. At least the first book. Yeah. The fact that there's 6 of these books just makes me like, I'm still saying no. But I will get to the end of this book and see if my opinion has changed. I'll see you next Sunday.
Bye. What a journey, am I right? I think that Chelsea did a great job of setting up some questions that may or may not be answered in the next video. Thank you, Chelsea, for building suspense. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. By the way, if you needed help with keeping track of all those characters, I took the liberty of making this handy dandy character web for you. I'm in talk with some artists who may be interested in contributing some fan art to this board, maybe put some faces to the sticky notes, so to speak. In the next video, you might see some actual faces. If you're finding this on Tumblr and you're interested, my DMs are open. So yeah, I'm gonna put this down now. Before we go, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm delighted to have you here on this journey. And I hope that you are excited as I am to see what happens in future videos.